Hey, so I look crazy. I got crazy hair, and it's late, and I worked today, but I'm incensed. I'm I'm incensed right now, and I was gonna tweet it, but tweets are small and they take a long time, and pretty much I see that 5 people watched my video, and that was cool. I'm also drinking beer. So what I'm incensed about right now, obviously there's a shit ton of stuff to be incensed about in the world, in America specifically right now. I don't need to tell you that. For me, right now, I mean, I can't even really get into the like the videos of the cops in Buffalo pushing down that man who cracked his head open and bled out of his ear and then just walking like that was today on top of how whatever else, everything else, the police brutality and the disgusting inequality of every so in America. My thing right now that I'm like super incensed about, and maybe that, but I am, so I'm gonna be myself and be incensed about it. And so um I'll make it so that it's okay. So Donald Trump walked to St. John's Church and held up a fucking Bible. And so my story, as I think there aren't any videos on this channel. I guess I made them on my other channel, but I have a whole bunch of videos on my other channel about this, and they're not super great or anything. But I periodically talked about my search for the truth and how I sought the truth from God and had a whole lot of crazy stuff happen to me that proved that it's real. And no, I don't know the truth. I didn't get told the truth, although I do know more of it. But it didn't work out the way I thought it would, where like I would just get told the truth because I didn't understand the world. I still don't, and I became desperate, and I had this burning desire to know the truth. And if you want something bad enough, you get results, and I did. But it wasn't the way I thought it was going to be, and everyone thought I was crazy, and it's been a 6-year journey of that. And I come from a family of so-called Christians who like forced it on me when I was a kid, but it's a whole lot bigger story than that because I had a chaotic childhood and whatever. I'm a human being on earth, right? We all have a story. So I sought the truth from God, and I got answered, and I had a lot of crazy stuff happen to me, and I've been on this journey of crazy stuff happening for 6 years. And I have family who are supposed Christians who support Donald Trump, and so it's interesting and ironic that I would end up being the person in my family who would seek truth, because it does say, okay, so like if you're not, I don't know how anybody would end up finding any video I made that isn't kind of seeking to know something about God, but if you're not someone who believes in God, that's not my mission. I'm not here to like force feed you that God is real. I think now in 2020, at the time that we're at, that seeking, like the stories are out there, thousands and thousands of books of stories of people's experience with God and near-death experience. Like this, the information is out there, and if you want to know it, you can find it. So I'm not here to say like if you don't believe, then blah blah blah. I'm talking about like the stuff that I know for myself, and these people who claim Jesus Christ, right? They claim Christ, but they haven't even actually really read the Bible. But these are people in my family anyway, and I'm mad right now. So this is who will tell you in a second that they're the first thing they identify themselves as is a Christian, right? But the truth is that they've been freaking deceived by if you ever read the Bible, it's all in there. Like all of the stuff that's happening now is in there, and I'm not talking about like Revelation and the Antichrist. I'm just talking about the fact that Jesus, his ministry as laid out in the Bible, and I think you can find out a lot more about Jesus and God if you read like current or modern stories of people's experience with God, because they're out there. There's so many of them. I mean, I'm one of them. And so, like, it's accessible. But, I forgot what I was saying. So, okay, Jesus in the Bible, his story, basically his ministry, like what the New Testament, well, the Gospels are about, his ministry, because then there's, like, the book of Acts, and then all of the writings of Paul and Peter and James and Jude, and John. So, Jesus' ministry on earth, as laid out in the Bible, was one of calling out hypocrisy and healing the sick. Pretty much that was it. And bringing people to him. But healing the sick, to me, I think, is a euphemism slightly for healing the sick of spirit. But probably, maybe also, like, it was also that kind of straight up physical healing. But I think a lot of that stuff is metaphors and for being given new life. You can walk, you can see, you can hear, whatever. But, so, his ministry, I look like a crazy person. Okay, so, was calling out hypocrisy amongst the Pharisees and the Sadducees, the established religion of the day, because Jesus was a Jew. And so, like, if you care about it, and if you want to know, and you read about it, and maybe, I don't know, because, like, here's the thing. I'm like a very, I'm not, like, a great person or anything. I'm super hermity. I work, and I do a good job. Like, I spend all my time alone, so I'm not somebody who, I'm not, like, trying to say that I embody what Christ came to do, or what, I'm not. I'm trying hard to follow, and anyway, so, but what he was doing was saying, like, basically, you guys are all hung up on all of these, like, rules and regulations, and you think that if you just do a bunch of stuff and let people see it, that you're following the law and the rule, and so you're good. And this is my opinion, but I think I'm pretty right. It's super easy to see. He was like, that's not what it's about. God is about your heart and who you really are inside, and how you treat other people, and not being a hypocrite. That's why he said, like, when you pray, go into your closet and don't let anyone see you, and actually really mean it. That's what he was saying. Don't walk around, like, seeking the best seat at the table, like you're fancy because you're a priest, or in the Bible, a Pharisee. Like, all of these shows, these displays of godly being don't mean anything. They mean nothing. What it means is your heart. And I don't know what there's weird stuff about the Old Testament and the New Testament. I don't know. It's weird to me. But there are some truths in that story. Like, to me, it definitely seems like he was saying, look, man, like, you're acting this way, but you're not really this way. You're not this way inside of you. And that's the thing that matters the most. And one of the hardest things for me, and probably a lot of people, is, like, you don't have to be perfect. But it's hard, because if you have an experience like mine where you have, like, encounters with stuff that if you talk about it, people think you're crazy. I have, like, a perfectionist thing, which is funny, because my life was a disaster. It's not anymore. But I was a perfectionist inside. Like, I have to be this. And I still struggle with that. Like, if I'm not being perfect all the time. And I don't mean, well, whatever. Anyway. So now you have Christians who, I mean, Donald Trump's spiritual advisor, Paula White, is like if there is ever the opposite of a Christian, it's her. And I have family members who, I haven't talked to them about it recently, but I know that they both think they love Donald Trump. And he walked across the thing and held that Bible up, and he cleared they did what they did, which was so that he could seem strong, so that he could have the appearance of strength, and then stand in front of a church holding the Bible to have the appearance of what? Godliness? Religion? It means nothing. And I've actually been like a little bit scared for him because, but like, it's, part of me is like, holy shit, that dude doesn't know what he's messing with. Because of the experience I've had, the complete and utter disregard of what, if he's going to hold up that book, the Bible, because whatever your like understanding of God is honestly, that's okay. It doesn't have to be the biblical understanding, but he's holding up the Bible. And my experience is that, and maybe it's because it's what I believe, because experiences with God are very personal and tailored to your, anyway, is that hypocrisy and just everything that was. Antichristness. And no, I don't think Donald Trump is the Antichrist. I think that's a spirit. I don't even know. It's whatever. That's another discussion. But that was so, I honestly am like, how did you not just like strike him down? Because it's so wrong. From what happened to him getting there, with what they did to the protesters, the peaceful protesters in the street, what he did to them so that he could go to that church and hold up that Bible and do nothing and say nothing other than it's a Bible. Like, the people in my life, anyone, all of the Christians out there who think that was a display of godliness, strength, that meant something. It meant nothing. That is, like Jesus said, like, you, like, wash the outside of the cup, but the inside is, like, filthy. He also said, and this is one of my, it's not like a favorite, like, oh, I love it so much, but it's something that sticks with me because it's happening now. Like, there's so many things in the New Testament that describe the way that Christians are now. And it was the way that the way the story goes, I'm not trying to like call anyone out or say anything, but the way the story goes, that like the super religious supposed chosen ones of God at the time were completely missing the whole, not everyone obviously, okay, I'm not trying to be, but like the way the story goes is that the Pharisees and the Sadducees were, okay, I'm actually recording this, so making sure that, okay, were like, I'm so holy and I am so great and I'm like over you and I'm like, and Jesus was like, basically like, that is not what we're, the thing, this show of the show, it doesn't have anything to do with what you. So, like, that's where the weird, and that's a whole, or like, faith and works and all that stuff, where people are like, well, you're just saved by your faith, and it's not works, but, James said, like, faith without works is dead, because if you're just doing shit to seem a way, that means nothing. Nothing. If you stand in front of a church and hold up a Bible, upside down, it means nothing. But there are people in I'm supposed to go visit my sister in July, and I love her so much. But they're all, like, Trump-supporting Republicans, and I don't know, at this juncture in time right now, the way things are, like, just today, I was like, man, I don't know if I can go if they're gonna, like, be extolling the praises of Trump, because it's such hypocrisy. It's everything is antithetical. It's anti-Christ. It's not, he's not the Antichrist, but it is anti-Christ, and I don't understand how these supposed people, I guess the thing is like, actually that the Bible talks about that. It talks about all those things happening. So anyway, I needed to rant a little about that. I'm just like, this man literally said, yesterday, that George Floyd was hopefully looking down on us from heaven because we had a good jobs report, which was actually a manipulated lie. of the numbers. It's not that. That's where his mind is at. The man is a monster. And because I do believe that, like, circumstances cause people to be ways and stuff like that, obviously he had some really awful shit happen to him when he was young to turn him into the monster that he is today. But he's a monster. And we have been sliding towards authoritarianism and for years. And now all, people are like, oh my gosh, it was too much. It's a big deal what happened on June 1st, last Monday. But he's been doing stuff that's broadcast that this is who he is, and surrounding himself with sycophants who will, Bill Barr, I don't know if they're either like sucking up to him or just using him. I mean, I'm more inclined to think that they're just using him to get what they want because he's a useful idiot. You just flatter the man and he will do anything. Roll back all of the regulations on everything environmental and just, it's a hellscape. But I personally, because I've had the experience I've had, I'm always like, okay, well, God has got this. He's stronger. But I get super bummed out and mad anyway. And so today, what I'm super, super mad about is hypocrisy. And you know that, like, those cops in Buffalo knocking down that 75-year-old man during protests about police brutality over the fact that they murdered a man on the street with their knee on his neck. These cops pushed down this man and then just, like, walked past him, basically. I mean, that's infuriating. And then Donald Trump. So, if you happen to watch this, thanks for watching. This is my vent. It would have been way too long for Twitter. And also, I hope that, like, I feel like anybody who finds, like, certain things that are kind of not super, when I was searching, well, I'm still searching, but when I was, like, seeking the truth, I found all kinds of, like, just little things of people that said things in their stories. And there's so many stories. So hopefully if anybody watches this, like, my story can, like, enhance your story or make you feel maybe less alone or something. Because it's a really hard time right now. And that's it. So may the force be with us. Good luck and goodbye.